And good evening, alienated parents, alienated grandparents, alienated children worldwide, family, friends, professionals out there. Welcome to Let's Talk on parent alienation and family domestic violence. Everybody out there who is dealing with parent alienation knows the pain and suffering that not only we go through, but our children are dealing with this as well. Children are losing identities, children are losing their parent over another parent who has held them as a hostage over time to never see a parent again. Some of us are going through decades. Many of us are, are new at this. And what we're trying to do is get the people that are now going through the court systems today to actually educate you all to know what you're going to find yourselves in. And we want you to understand that this is not an easy task because you are already deemed, one of you are deemed in before you walk into a family courtroom, that one of you will lose your children in order to fight for them to bring revenue into these court systems. So what we have tonight, we have a alienated father who has been dealing with this for nearly, actually over 6 years. And he has lost his daughter, which is actually kidnapping because the child is in Switzerland while he's living in the US. Dave is from Florida. I am from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And alienation is worldwide. It's not just in one isolated area. As we know, we have Dave Persaud, who had to leave one state to go to another state, I believe. I'm going to get Dave to tell you the story. And he had to set up a new home in order to bring his daughter home. His daughter is 7 years old, and he hasn't seen her. I'm going to get Dave to tell you for how long. Um, and it's a sad situation because fathers love their children just as much as mothers, and mothers got to understand that the children need their fathers, and fathers need to understand that children need their mothers. The mothers were there in the first place raising the children for them while they were off work, leaving the wives home to tend to. Then all of a sudden they become bad parent and never to see the children. Parent alienation is an extreme mental and psychological warfare on our children because they grow up to hate a parent, to be abusive to that parent, to never see that parent. It's very disturbing that a child could actually be like that at a very young age. Wait till they get older, because I have a 36, a 35, and a 33-year-old who have been severely brainwashed and traumatized. And I'm here to educate people to know that you don't want your children to go where my kids are. They are literally suffering internally, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. So here tonight we have Dave Persaud in Florida, and he's going to tell us his story. Thank you for coming on, Dave. So sorry about what you're dealing with. We've been talking a lot over the last few weeks, trying to find solutions for you. So if anybody's out there while Dave's talking, help him out if you can. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me on this show. Um, it's been a few months now where I've discovered some information through a special international investigation that I launched earlier this year.
I got to
And
get you to speak up. I'm sorry.
I just want to say I appreciate
Yes, I
mainly,
got that, but I need you to talk louder. Sorry. I
sorry,
don't want you to repeat.
okay. No, well, what you're doing for the public and doing for parents like me, I admire because I'm all about not giving up. I'm all about fighting for them because that's all we're the only ones. We're the children's unspoken voice. You know, they don't get to be heard, so we have to speak for them.
Yes.
And what's been happening with me is, as way I see it over the years now, I've become familiar with more and more cases. over hundreds of cases that are a repeat of what's going on with me, right? The way the script is played out in every single family court in every country and continent across the world, and the way how parents who are strategically alienated with their rights to be heard strategically denied, their due processes and procedural law breaches and civil rights violations and the lies and deceit and court appointed or corporate employees who are supposed to be upholding the law or acting above the law. The story just goes on and on like, wow, it's everybody. And this is the real freaking pandemic, because what the hell is going on with everybody waking up, but nobody's realizing that this is the foundation for the whole global child trafficking organization that's going on. It's the web, it's the network. But in any case, I don't want to get too far off what's going on with me. Let me just give a little brief background. Um, Everybody likes a good story, right? You ever seen one of those movies where the European gold digger solicits the American guy just minding his own business, and they start talking, and a romance starts, and she comes into his life and robs him blind. You ever saw one of those stories?
Too many, far
That's
too
me.
many. The
This is
Tinder swindler. Now we have that doctor in Italy. He did
yeah,
the same thing. He promised the wife he was going to marry her in front of the Pope.
yeah. Well, I kind of have a depiction of what my story is like, and I'd like to throw up the famous couple for you. Where are they? That my story is very much like. No, not that picture. One second. Uh, you know these two, right? You've seen these two. Well, that's what's going on with me, right?
Oh, Johnny Depp. Yes.
Yeah,
And
I got
Amber Heard.
I got this one in court playing a violin for the past 6 years. She's such a victim, and my daughter is being withheld from me because my wife is such a victim. See, a few months ago I would have said my ex-wife. What has been brought to my attention based upon this investigation blew my mind this year. So I'm not going to stress too much and elaborate too much on the background. My wife left the United States in December 2015. A few weeks later, the doctor says you are 6 weeks pregnant, 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. Cassandra Amina Persaud, my beautiful baby girl, was conceived in the United States in Seattle, Washington. Okay, this is my cutie pie right here. Okay, around the time when I discovered that there was a double life going on, and by no one else but my own mother-in-law, who calls me up from Switzerland and says, you know what? And this is November 2017. Cassandra looks like this in the picture I just showed you. She was about 9, 10 months old. Uh, no, I'm sorry. She was over a year old in November 2017. Her birthday is August 2016. I'm mixing up time frames um, of when the double life began in March, prior to March 2017. A
Not
double.
an easy thing to keep track of,
Yeah.
double lives. Wow.
Oh, yeah, because you're dealing
Yeah.
with a dozen different organizations, all bombarding you with paperwork to
Mm.
flood you with information, to overwhelm you, to stress
Yes.
you, to drain your pocket, to
Confuse
take every
you.
dime
Yeah.
that you got, to make sure you waste time with consultation fees with lawyers and postage and subpoenas and court dates and assignments, and just put you bankrupt in the ground. That's the objective, to make you slave to the system that they own your children. They're playing like they
Yeah.
own your children, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having it. And I'm tonight I would like to bring to light and unveil decades of what they have been doing to parents in Switzerland specifically. Because you see, in the United States, we have something called freedom of speech, freedom of press, we have public record. And in satisfying all those laws tonight, with my rights, I'm going to let you know their names, their faces, their addresses, their phone numbers, their websites, their fax number, and all the information that allows me a public record to disclose information on public servants that are supposed to be obeying the law rather than acting above the law. You see, those are pretty much acts of treason. Not only are they committing acts of treason and criminal activity to impose tyranny on parents such as me, but specifically from Switzerland, these commies think that they could enforce Swiss laws in the United States of America. And I'll get right into it. I have to laugh because I'm dealing at the moment with an arrest warrant. An arrest warrant because my wife didn't like my Facebook posts. And
It's the
I
truth. That's why.
I have these Facebook posts for your um where is it? Oh, here they are. Maybe let me get you a little closer view of what's going on with these Facebook posts. Basically, the court orders say not to mix up the timeline of events. These are my Facebook posts that you and I share all the time when we talk and stuff, freedom of speech stuff, right?
Right.
And basically, she cyber stalked me from Switzerland, copied my Facebook posts, and with no relevance whatsoever, these posts have no relevance whatsoever. She insinuated a false accusation that I was coming to Switzerland to kidnap my daughter in May this year, 2023. This is her lawyer and her composing a criminal complaint against me in Switzerland and holding me accountable for Swiss laws. The lawyer, okay, well, first of all, let me show you who the kidnapper is. Our kidnapper is Leila Jaksik Persaud, living in Switzerland.
And who is that?
This is my wife. Everybody should know the names and the faces because in my situation, every name and face counts.
Yes. I
And
think in all of ours.
yes,
We call them flying monkeys.
every time a child is involved,
Yeah.
let me, pardon me 1 second. I'm going to share this upload to YouTube, excuse me, on Facebook. And try to get this some more attention. I know you're pre-recorded. Okay, share now.
So, how did your daughter end up in Switzerland?
Okay, in August 2016, on August 16th, 2016, I was in Switzerland with my wife, whom left the United States December 2015, right? Just 9 months prior, uh, for a short stay. When
So,
she
your
went back,
daughter was 9 months old?
no, Cassandra was just 3 weeks inside her mother's womb when she
Oh,
left the
okay.
United States. So Cassandra was born in Switzerland,
Okay.
but it's not as cut and dry as her being born in Switzerland. She was kidnapped from the United States based upon international law and what I'll get into a little later on. It's a kidnapping. It's not international child abduction. It's not all that fancy talk that they word up in the conventions. It's downright kidnapping, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll prove it. So uh, now where was I? I wanted to let you know that in 2016 August, Cassandra was born. I rushed my wife to the hospital at 7 o'clock in the
I need you
morning.
louder, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Cassandra was born at 7:04 p.m. August 16th, 2016, in the Remont Hospital in Freiburg, Switzerland. I was there the week prior and stayed for the following 2 months to take care of her and my wife, my dog, and my cat. Everybody was there. And I took
Mhm.
the whole family there, the dog and the cat, so that uh, I could be there for my family and wife. I had an apartment set up and paid for and furnished and everything in Switzerland, and I had a place in Seattle, and I was living in between both countries while there were USCIS, U.S. immigration filings going on um, for spouse visa. The spouse visa process was a two-step process that took about 18 months to complete, but there were delays in accumulating necessary documents for the filing criteria, and it took about 20 months. So from January 2016 to December 2017, there were USCIS filings in the United States for the return of my family. Primarily, my wife was the only one that was restricted from coming back to the United States. There was no problem for me to take Cassandra, my dog, and my cat and bring them home. But it was in the child's best interest to stay with her mother. And Lucy and Charlie, our dog and cat, got to be bonded with Cassandra and they could all stay in one place. And when I would leave Seattle for months to live in Switzerland, I wouldn't have to worry about finding shelter for the dog and the cat or having to take them with me each time. So I just put everybody in this apartment in Freiburg. And little did I know that from the beginning of 2017, halfway through that 20-month process of filing with USCIS, my wife had began living a double life. Literally double life. When I was in Switzerland, she was somebody else. When I was in the United States, she was somebody else. And was telling the Swiss authorities that how the child didn't have a father and that how Cassandra is uh, I don't see her, we don't have contact, and all kinds of lies, while literally living like man and wife with me and communicating with me each day. I mean, there's tons of pictures I can show you, videos of the time, the events we
Oh, I'm
sharing
sure you can.
with family and friends, right? This was just this 2 year process, 16 and 17, right?
Mhm.
Okay, fast forward a little bit. In November 2017, my mother-in-law calls me up and offloads a truck of information on me that just again blows my mind. My wife is living a double life. She's seeing another man. The man is sleeping in the apartment when I'm not there. He's from Serbia, and um, that's where her dad is from. My wife's dad, and her, my father-in-law set her up with this guy, and they've been having an affair behind my back for the past year. And I was like, holy smokes. So today, December 17th, 2017, on this day, 6 years ago, I confronted her. I called her up. We were talking almost every day. And for some reason, I hadn't heard from her in the past week. And it had, it started to worry me. So I called her up and I confronted her about what her mom said. And she flipped the script. All of a sudden I was at fault for everything. All of a
Mhm.
sudden I was the one to blame for her having an affair behind my back. So she says the words, I can take Cassandra and disappear to Serbia. Those words got me initiated international protocols with the FBI, the Department of State, the Department of Justice, the Swiss Federal Office of Justice, International Social Services, Minister of Public Social Welfare Department. This is just from the top of my head. The Swiss police, the Serbian Border Patrol. I went berserk. Okay, for 2 years, I had been fighting with the United States government to bring my wife home that was living a double life while she was using the Swiss government to kidnap my daughter behind my back. And I went overnight, I went from fighting with the United States government for my family, or excuse me, for my wife, to fighting the Swiss government for my whole family, because she not only began withholding my daughter on December 17th, 2017, she also wanted to keep Lucy hostage. Okay, Lucy came home in May 2019. The last during one of my visits to Switzerland, I brought Lucy home. Charlie died September 1st, 2020, because my wife abandoned him outside and moved to a whole different state. Um, Another case of abduction where I didn't know where Cassandra was living for a short while. I had to go find my daughter. But Charlie got abandoned and died in the streets. The animal shelter people called me up, and because his chip had my information for contact, they were able to get in contact with me, and they told me that how he was attacked by something and severely injured, and they could not do the surgery. He lost too much blood. He would have died anyway, so they put him to sleep. And it's because my wife abandoned Charlie in Freiburg, although I had been asking for him for 2 years to let me take him home already. But every time I would visit, she would hide him from me, or she would hide Lucy from me, and of course Cassandra. I have a video. I wonder if anybody might be interested in. No, no, let me not get into the history. To show you what happened when I
We could
finally.
put it into the comment box
Oh,
where
later.
they could reach you to see these videos.
Yeah,
Right
it'll be.
now, we don't have too much time
Oh, yeah.
to
So
show everything because this is a long story. It's not
yeah.
something that
So
pe-
so
people seem
2000.
to think that it's our
So
fault and we deserve it. But once they see the evidence, they'll know that, oh, I've seen this before, or I've heard about this before. And then the bells will start ringing in their heads, thinking, oh, I better protect my own self. Our children are going to be in danger
indeed,
because
and,
anything
and
can happen.
and I would like to show you what a falsified Swiss marriage certificate looks like.
Come closer to the mic.
I would like you to see what a falsified Swiss marriage certificate looks like. I'll put it in the comments.
Okay.
Uh,
You
a
could share
copy
that
of it.
in the link. Yep.
Yes. This marriage certificate was made in Switzerland by a judge, Francois Xavier Argadon, in Freiburg Justice of Peace, the family court, after my wife initiated divorce proceedings in March 2017. This judge then ordered for this marriage certificate to be fabricated. As far as I'm concerned, with the lawyer that had acted on my behalf, started working for my wife. The same attorney that represented me in USCIS filings to obtain Cassandra's birth certificate was working with my wife to fabricate a Swiss marriage certificate without my knowledge, signature, or consent. And this Swiss marriage certificate was made in May 2017, following the divorce filings of March 2017. So they did things backwards. I mean, if you're gonna falsify a divorce, next time you guys want to do it, try and falsify the divorce certificate before filing for separation and divorce. It might make more sense.
It would. They
So,
don't think.
so moving on with the ditses, right? That's not even the half of it. Oh my God, you gotta see how much stupidity is in the black and white. Like, oh my God, are you people like just don't care if you get all the evidence out in the open? But yeah, they're gonna after this year, because the case that I launched with the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, that I made an original complaint in October 2020, has gone to a whole other level. This year, the case, uh, sorry, not this year, as of September 2023, the case has gone to the High Commissioner for review. The accumulated information that I dug up this year with a special investigation has proven that they falsified the divorce, not only by breaching Swiss civil laws, filing for separation within 2 weeks of living together. The law says that they have to do it after the couple hasn't lived together for 2 years, not 2 weeks. So all this information, including A multitude. You know what? Let me just show you the box that arrived of the evidence that arrived from Homeland Security. Okay? This information is literally, I've only gone through about 1/4 of it. The whole box is filled, for the record. I've only gone through 1/4 of it, and I've been able to prove something that I don't think anyone has ever proven before. I really don't. Because there has been decades of the Swiss hiding behind their privacy laws and their secrecy laws, and anybody who comes forward, especially a Swiss, gets persecuted firsthand for their suppression of freedom of speech over there, with their defamation and slander and insult charges, which in the United States, defamation is a civil aspect. It's not even criminal. Let's not even get into jurisdiction. So I've also have a multitude of charges and convictions for defamation and slander and kidnapping and attempted kidnapping, and I have a rap sheet. Excuse me, the straw man character that they have used my identity to impersonate in Switzerland. Mind you, my actual criminal record in the United States, they're not finding anything, and that's why maybe this public prosecutor hasn't brought it up, although he requested it years ago. Is clean. In Switzerland now, the strawman character has all of these charges built up for the past 6 years. And this year, they overplayed their cards. This year, they pushed me to the limit. Because this year, after my wife decides to tell the criminal prosecutor that I'm going to kidnap my daughter when I come to Switzerland, after I gave my 2 months notice according to the divorce decision and the access rights decision in place, I'm supposed to give 2 months notice. Immediately, it's just 2 months notice for her to start filing false charges and coming up with bullshit allegations, pardon my French.
Well, isn't that what she did? She kidnapped the daughter. I mean,
And
why is it good for her and not
yeah,
for you?
yeah, every year is the
It's
same
double
routine.
standard. Everything is double standard.
Right. Well, in my case, they strategically railroaded me out of my daughter's life by
Hmm.
a pack of lies coming together for their incompetence, first of all, to cover that up. And their insubordination, they covered that up by making me the bad guy.
That's
You
right.
know, I'm
That's
this
what
and
they
I'm that.
do.
It's all a bunch of bullshit because none of
Yeah.
them can even prove it. It's all
Yeah.
allegations that they have built up on record. A bunch of blah, blah, blah for years to make
Right.
me look like, okay, I need supervised visits. I'm aggressive. I am
But you
Mr.
were fine before. It's unbelievable. And you're not the only one, Dave, because they're doing this to moms as well. They started alienating moms because the fathers were speaking out back in the 90s. They were getting fed up because, yeah, fathers were alienated. My ex-husband was alienated from his own father for 63 years now. So where did he learn how to do that? From his mother.
Of
Why did
course.
why did he not get to see his dad? Because he was a monster.
Well, you want
Now,
to know
what he
something?
did to my kids, he told the judge, I was a monster. So this is
Mhm.
what's happening. It's a repeat of what they've gone through.
Yeah, and the system is the family court judges are quick to say how high when the accuser says jump.
Yeah, exactly. That's because they're bringing in revenue for them.
Yes,
They pick on the weakest link, and they are the weakest link because
yes,
they know that they are lying. They have to lie to save themselves. The kids will gravitate to the abuser. The kids listen to the abuser. They become liars. They become abusive themselves because they're controlling the parents
let's not
because
even
the
get into
abuser's
that.
controlling the ex-partner for all those years before the children were there. I mean,
Mm,
abuse doesn't just happen when we have children. The
yeah,
abuse happens when we get into a relationship. And
right.
as we're trying to get out, we get pregnant. We don't do this on purpose because, we're all shocked half the time. Oh, I'm pregnant. You don't plan on it. But what we need to do is to educate people before they have children on what is going to happen when one parent hates the other one, or the other one parent leaves the other one. This is something that, instead of these fairy tale weddings, they're not fairy tale weddings, because once you enter a relationship together in one home, there's closed doors. Who knows what that person that you just married is going to be like when you're alone,
Yeah.
right? We don't
Yeah.
know that. We don't pick and
Mhm.
choose abuse. It
Right.
follows us. We get railroaded, like you said,
Yeah. And you want to
you
know
know.
something about my ex? She was alienated from her father for almost 2 decades of her life.
There you go.
And she thinks that's a normal way to raise a
Yes,
child. So
that's
time
right.
is repeating itself, this psychosis that has been built into her head to think that a child is okay to be going through identity crisis of alienated from one parent is like just something she has to pass on. It's family
Right.
tradition.
And this is what, sorry, and this is what we need to bring into the court system, a resume of the history of who we were married to. We don't
Exactly.
just give them the marriage license.
Exactly.
That's all they ask for. They don't care in between the time you were married to the time you were divorced. They just want to know when you got married and when you got divorced.
Yeah.
Nothing in the middle. So they don't care whether, because this new law that they're bringing out, that we can't bring domestic violence into the courtrooms anymore,
Mhm.
is this is why we're being divorced from these people, because we don't want to deal with the abuse anymore. So what these judges are keeping these children locked up in the same abusive situation we were in, by
Mhm.
allowing the alienating parent, who is the abusing parent, to keep the kids, to punish them. Because there are a lot of parents out there that can't stand their kids because they remind them of their ex-spouses. My mother-in-law was like that. I asked her, after 4 years of marriage, do you have a picture of your son? I don't have any pictures of him when he was a child. She
Yikes.
got into her closet and pulled out a box with baby pictures. I said, why are his pictures in a baby box, or in a box? And she
Mhm.
said, it brings me back bad memories. What? Your son as a baby brings you back bad memories, and you raised them to be a monster?
Yikes.
So, history is important.
There's more to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's more to it.
there's more to it, because they're learning the exact same thing. They're abusing their partner. Now, my kids, as adults, have lost so many relationships. Because why? Because they learned how to be abusive to their partner.
Hmm.
This is why we try to get out of the relationship at an early stage. But when we don't succeed, many of us, many of them out there, are getting murdered by suicide, committing suicide. It's really devastating what we have to go through in order to survive, to save our kids. Why didn't you leave
Mhm.
earlier? They say. Why didn't you leave? We can't leave earlier.
And children do what parents do, not what parents say. They do.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
they
it's a very difficult situation, because we're always haunted by, you leave me, I'll kill you. You leave me, I'll commit suicide. You leave me, I'll do this. You leave me, I'll burn the house down. This is what we are dealing with. It's the psychological effects that we have to deal with in order to stay. We're being blackmailed to stay in a relationship with our abusers. We don't want to be. But yet, the abusers keep us there, and yet they're having affairs, they're doing their double lives, they're having the great time while we're home with the kids, and then all of a sudden we become the abuser. This crazy.
And speaking of abuser, I wanted you to see what happened to me when I ended up in Switzerland in
Get closer to
February
your mic, please.
in 2000 in 2020 February. I go to visit my daughter, and while playing with her in a park, my wife set up one of her boyfriends to attack and blindside me in the park.
Wow.
This was me in a hospital. And the thing is, she took the picture
Oh my.
and
Really?
yeah, on WhatsApp to send it over to her boyfriend about what a good job he did.
Oh my gosh.
Here is here is the guy that attacked me in the park at Cassandra's birthday party.
Hmm.
Now, both of them orchestrated the attack on me. Cassandra saw a bloody scene. Her dad got attacked and everything. Traumatized the child. She was crying, saying, "Daddy got hurt. Daddy got hurt." She saw blood all over me and stuff. And the police came to the scene, and would you believe they didn't even arrest this guy? And the prosecutor, since 2020, has covered up for her orchestrating the attack. So every year I go there, I'm dealing with some kind of terrorism. 2019, I land at Geneva Airport. I get strip searched because there was a report that I'm trafficking drugs internationally. They took all the child's birthday gifts that I had wrapped for her, for Cassandra, and they were opening it and they were dumping things out and they were throwing away some chocolates and food and certain things that I brought for Cassandra, specifically all birthday gifts for the child. For a whole hour, I'm being strip searched and all my things are being ransacked. That's 2019. 2020 was this attack. During the same 2020 visit in February, she called the police and made a false report that I had kidnapped Cassandra and on my way to New York. While during visitation time, during court ordered time slot that I'm with Cassandra at my little Airbnb apartment, it's cold, it's February, we got the fireplace going, she's watching Paw Patrol, and I'm cooking something for her to eat and then feeding her. The whole time we're having a good time, the police are sitting outside of the Airbnb. At 3 p.m., she calls the cops, and it's her friends in the police department that comes in outside the Airbnb, and they sit and they wait for 4 p.m. when I would leave the Airbnb with Cassandra with all her toys and gifts and everything and put her in the car because now we're going to go over to the CPS so I can give her back to the social workers and the social workers can give Cassandra back over to my wife, right? I would be saying my ex-wife, but this is not a few months ago. I have to maintain,
Right.
right?
You were saying, yeah,
I
because, yeah,
discovered that we're still married. Yeah,
right.
but I'll get into that in a minute. And so it, the cops harassed my daughter and I for 2 hours on the side of the road in the freezing cold. And phony baloneyed up a bunch of false charges that how I was driving without a seatbelt and there was no I was playing with my cell phone and the child was not in a car seat and how I resisted arrest and I failed to identify myself. And guess what? All of it was recorded. And I have the proof of all of it recorded versus what they put down on paper against me. The
Right.
evidence shows that the cops are lying. Except now, uh, the last week of November, the first week of this month, December 2023, I received in the mail from the Department of Justice uh, a subpoena to come to court for the charges of defying the officer on the side of the road ever since 2020, the falsified charges by the cops. And all of it covering up for the actual Swiss that's breaking Swiss laws on Swiss territory when they're trying to persecute me from abroad. That when I come to Switzerland, they're going to lock me up at the airport. It's going to be no different than all the other times that I've landed at the airport where I've got to prove myself innocent. But this time, Mark Bunion of the Freiburg prosecutor's office, Minister of Public in Switzerland there, Freiburg, has issued an arrest warrant for Facebook posts since June 30th There's actually an arrest. So I'm gonna provide the cops at the airport with the evidence that I have that okay, here, I know you got a warrant, right? Here's your warrant. Let's say this. Let's play Swiss police at the airport harassing Dave Persaud as usual as soon as he gets off the airplane. Here's your warrant for your arrest. Okay, I got the evidence for you. Here's the evidence right here. Let me show you. My Facebook post is the evidence for that warrant. While I was nowhere near Swiss territory, while Swiss laws do not have any effect in the United States, while I'm not a Swiss citizen and have any no contracts with Switzerland. So I'm gonna go full force head on, and I am letting the public know I am not suicidal. If I get locked up, it's gonna be for something I get framed for, based on the history of the tyranny, harassment, assaults, and racism, prejudice, discrimination that I've had to deal with in Switzerland every time. This little girl has no idea. In 29, this picture was from 2019. Okay, she's 3 years old. She has no idea what tyranny, what terrorism her dad had to go through to share this memory with her. She had no idea how far, 4,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean, her dad has to go fight from Swiss police to justice of peace to false accusations and restraining orders just to be a part of her life. And I love her to death. I would go to the moon and back.
And that's the thing, we will. And that's why the courts are using us, because they know we will give every penny we have to the
I'm gonna put
courts
them,
to
I'm gonna
fight
put
for
them
our
in the jail.
children.
I'm gonna
Dave,
put them in
we're
the
already
jail.
42 minutes into the program. I know you wanted to cut it short.
Yeah.
Um, how
I just
much time would you like? We have another 10 minutes.
I do have like I don't a plea for help to the public, really. Because when I land there next time, I would like to go live so that everybody knows that I'm not bringing in drugs to Switzerland in case they
Mhm.
try to plant anything on me. Okay, I'm not going to have any contraband. I am not suicidal. Okay, I do go the speed limit. So when they're going to pull me over, they're going to pretend that it's one of those random traffic stops. It's not going to be a random traffic stop. I'm going to have my cameras going. And I want everyone to see what I have to go through with the hostage situation in Switzerland to see my daughter. The difference this year now is that I've proven that they have no jurisdiction. The entire divorce has been proven null and void. They falsified it. I
Mhm.
have a valid United States marriage certificate that has been time stamped by the Secretary of Records in Washington State, where I originally got married, of September something 22nd, 2023, this year. So for 6 years, this fool has been playing their game of divorce court while they never followed any international protocols whatsoever to make sure that the marriage was dissolved where it originated. And where the marriage originated takes precedence and cannot be contested. My wife went and remarried in 2020, is now committing polygamy.
Right.
And her second marriage is not valid. The children that she just had this year, pair of twins, born in wedlock to me, guess who they are legally? The children born in wedlock to me, okay, are automatically United States citizens. Let's not get me started on where I can go with that.
Wow.
Right? Now, I'm going to go to Switzerland and I'm going to go see my daughter, find my daughter, and I'm going to go do what every parent needs to do to secure the well being of their child. And anyone that gets in my way, well, I'll be live. We'll see what happens with anyone that gets in my way. Because
Yeah.
this time, I'm not going there as divorced daddy looking for permission to see his daughter and let's go sit down in a little room full of toys with CPS workers and they're going to tell me what I can say and what I can't say and what I can eat and what we can do. And no, I'm not going there asking for permission this time. I'm going there letting them know that you guys and your 6 years of civil rights violations, human rights violations against a dad that has full custody rights just as much as the mother, with a marriage that's still valid in the United States. Your Swiss divorce means nothing. All of your orders and access and restrictions and oh, you got to give 2 months notice before you come to Switzerland and let us know where you're going to stay and your address and what you're going to do. And it ain't happening anymore.
Nope.
It's not.
Good for you.
So I
Stand your
really,
ground.
absolutely, and I really need for everyone to know that they are covering up for each other in Switzerland. It's the good old boy system. If you think that when you're in one of these little rinky-dink towns in the United States, you know, somewhere in Arkansas or something, and they have the good old boy system, over there is where it originated. The whole country of Switzerland has the good old boy system in their little villages, in their little courts, even all the way from uh, the minister of public to the tribunal level to the Supreme Court, and I have it all in black and white. And this year, I proved it to the United Nations. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, CRC case number 150-2021, Cassandra Persaud versus Switzerland. They cannot refute the evidence that proves that Switzerland has been violating my daughter and I rights for 6 years. They have no
Wow.
place. They have no jurisdiction whatsoever on us. They never did. And I've only been bombarded and flooded and overwhelmed with their gangs of paperwork and oh, this you have to subpoena, you got to come to. None of it was ever valid, including right now the warrant that's out for my arrest, including right now the subpoena for me to come to court next month, January 30th, 2024 at 9 a.m. It's all a show. It has no validity whatsoever. And they're going to try and lock me up when I get there. And all I'm going to go there for is to see my daughter. And I
Hmm.
want everyone to know that I'm publicizing the terrorism that I'm having to face with each and every time. This time, for once and for all, I'm putting them in their place. And
Well, good
Cassandra
for
needs to
you.
see her father.
Well,
They
you
made it.
let us know. We'll link you in and we'll share it worldwide because this is what we need to do. We need to start protecting each other that are alienated, that are going through the court. We need to be stepping into the courtrooms to see what we're dealing with. We need to get cameras into the courtrooms. We need to
Absolutely.
have, you know, evidence of what the courts are doing to us and to our children
No due
because
process,
these
no jury
everything's
trial.
behind closed doors. And these
Exactly.
men in black, the cloaks,
Yeah.
not just men, but the lady judges too, are
Black
just as
cloaks.
bad and evil as the men judges.
Black cloaks.
You know,
Yeah.
men um, become pedophiles, but what do women become when they're abusing a child? You know, this is sick. This is literally a
Narcissism.
sick game they're doing
Narcissism. I can
to
give you a
torture
list.
kids.
Yeah. With power trip issues and daddy issues and
Yeah,
would love to just make sure that the
exactly.
child grows up with the same identity crisis.
And that's what happens. You know, they're taking on so many abusive cases that they become abusers.
I'm not gonna make sure my daughter grows up with identity
No,
crisis.
you need to stop her from being involved in any more of this corruption. And we need to get these judges right away to put their foot down and make sure that these children are not being kidnapped, taken off to different countries, different states. Once a child has 50-50 access to each parent should be treated with respect
But
and
that's not the
honored.
objective. Equality is not the objective. It's to railroad one parent out of the child's life, take whatever the other parent says with prejudice towards the
But
other
that's
parent.
what we need to stop.
Right. The
We need to
non-custodial
stop.
violations.
You cannot bring a child into divorce court and start bad mouthing the other parent and make that child stick up for you. That's just mental illness. Why would you do that when you're raising your children at home? You
And
teach them
judges
to
are
learn to
permitting this.
love and not abuse.
And judges are permitting this. That's
Yes,
the other part of the
yes,
circus.
exactly. And this is what we need to stop is
That's the
exposing these
criminal.
judges. And that's why we need cameras in court. We need these,
Absolutely.
they put the
Expose the
kids
circus.
into chambers in private. We don't know what
Expose
they're
the
saying
circus.
to these kids. How do we know they're not diddling our kids? You
Goddamn
know,
road show.
they're doing something to our kids that are putting the fear in them.
Yeah, road show for child snatching. That's
Yes.
what it is. A circus
And
road show. And you got a
yep.
clown in a black cloak making all the decisions with a hammer in his hand. And,
Hmm.
and, and everybody's playing like they got jurisdiction over your flesh and blood.
That's right. That's right. Well, Dave, we're going to have to end this. We're already close to the hour. We're going to
It's
have you back for part two. This is not over yet. Your fight is just
just beginning.
beginning on our for us to share live. So when we have people, tuning in and helping you, would be a great idea, to get solutions out there before the next person gets involved in the same situation. There's a lot of child trafficking out there. There's tons of kids being taken over to different countries. I mean, there's a
Switzerland is
lot
the
going
headquarters.
over to India, Pakistan, and
Switzerland is the headquarters for that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So it's not just, you're not an isolated
Those Davos
incident here.
meetings, those Davos meetings that they have where all the black clothes get together and they all discuss what they're gonna do. Of course, it's all part of the Epstein Island link. They're all linked
Yes,
together.
they just had one in 2016 in California, where all the judges got together and started singing Christmas songs, but they were mocking the parent that lost the custody of their children. And they had it recorded. This is sick that these judges and
I didn't see it.
lawyers are getting together partying
I'm
like
not
that.
surprised. I'm not surprised because it's
It,
all
it's
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 about this.
it's crap. It's
That's
crap.
all it's about for them. This.
Mm.
Your kid's a number. That's what it
That's
is.
right. And they're making money. They're taking our homes, our assets, our
Why they
retirement,
can't walk the streets.
everything.
That's why they can't walk the streets in the communities that they live in, and they have to
That's
live
right.
behind their own gated communities. Because let them go in the real public. Let somebody get a hold of their kids.
Well, look at that judge that just got killed in his driveway. You know, uh,
Somebody
you,
got
they're,
judged. It looks like.
they're making parents crazy. We're being accused of being crazy before we get to the crazy part, but that
My,
one father lost it. Why? Because
I
that
mean, I
judge
got
took
one
his
thing to say.
kids.
I got one thing to say about that. They want crazy. Let's give them crazy. They want
Exactly.
crazy, they can get it. Because now we got something at our fingertips that they didn't have a couple decades ago. The World Wide Web that exposes their faces, their names, their addresses, and let's see which streets they're really gonna walk.
That's right. I've been doing this for 18 years. I'm not giving up. And I know those judges. I have them, all their court orders, all their lies, all their BS, taking my kids. My
You're a
kids were
fighter.
almost 18. I had to let them go once they were 18. But still, I got future grandchildren coming. I want to be part of my grandchildren's lives.
It's
So this, I am
disgraceful
not
and
going to
hypocritical.
stop. I'm doing this to help others out there that, need help.
Thank you too.
So, Dave, thank you so much. Just don't step off yet, but we're going to have you back. I just want to let the viewers know that on Tuesday the 19th, we have Linda Harlow coming on to uh, Let's Talk at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. We're going to have an early show. Sorry that we ended up being so late tonight, but you can't be in two places at once. I was in a church play tonight with my Molly. She's exhausted. She's passed out on the bed. She went to church twice. Oh, she just poked her head up. She heard me talking, but she's tired. So I'm pretty beat too. So what we're going to do is sign off and have
Thank you
Dave
for
back
having
soon. But
me.
anybody out there that would like to come and share their story, please message me or email me at Mary_Kovacs um, at hotmail.com, and I can get you on and we can share your story too, to help other parents and alienated children and grandparents out there uh, expose, because it's our children, not the court's children.
And not state property. And my daughter
Yes.
is not Swiss property.
That's right. That's right. We didn't have children just so that someone could be abusing them. We protect our kids from abuse. And here they are falling into the family court system, being pulled by anybody and everybody there just to make money.
And I think about her every single day. Every
Yeah.
single day.
Well, we pray for you, Dave and Cassandra, that you get reunited soon. It's Christmas time, the hardest time not to be with our children. I'm, going on 19 years, 19 Christmases without mine. My 91-year-old mom never got to see her grandchildren either in all these years. And it's sad because kids need their grandparents. kids need to have a special kind of bond between their grandparents, and that special kind of love is not being the same kind of love as a parent, because we parent our children differently. So these kids are missing out on so much, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, because they're losing half a family. They're not just losing a mom, they're losing the whole mom's side, or the dad, the whole dad's side, right?
On the bigger picture, identity crisis is a lot more easier to control than people who are raised by their parents and have solid foundation. They're harder to control.
Mm-hmm.
Rat race system that is just designed to make money off of people.
That's
But
right.
we could that's a whole other topic.
It
Thank you.
is. So we'll
And
have you back, Dave, okay?
good
Don't
night.
give up. I know you won't. You're a fighter. Parents, alienated children, alienated grandparents out there, don't give up on each other. You know, we all need to learn to forgive and forget. And we don't blame our children for what they've gone through. Our children are being abused, trafficked. It's no
They're
different than
reminded.
being locked up in one of those sea containers. They can't breathe, they can't talk, they can't fight. No one, they can't tell anybody because they're scared that they're going to be punished for it, where the alienators are already punishing them. So let's end this tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk on parent alienation and family domestic violence. And we will see you on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.